So here we are with my 71 Dodge Challenger. I've made some changes to it and I wanted to show what I've done. Two changes, I guess, a couple. One is I've replaced the column with a style that doesn't have the automatic transmission indicator here on top because I have a floor shifter and it just seemed really odd that I had that. So I picked this up on a Craigslist ad for right around $100, and it came just as you see. And I've already purchased another can for it. I'll show you my old column, which is actually in really good shape. But there's a couple of ways to do this. I could have just replaced the shell, but this column is set up for a power steering, whereas I have manual. So I had to buy the little adapter that you'll see in the video. So overall, if I was to do this job again, I would just replace the shaft. I could just pull the shaft out and put it in the old shaft into this column, and I would have probably saved $110, $120 and a little less headache. So if you're doing this, keep that in mind, that shaft can be exchanged if you have power steering and you're going to manual. You can replace that. But right now, I want to show, I've had this Tach installed for a long time. It's an El Cheapo, I know that, but you know what? It works really, really well. And I wanted to show how I've done it. See if we get some light here. So what I did is I made that bracket right there, as you see, and it works pretty darn good. It really does. I'm not complaining about it at all. I made this bracket right here. I just simply figured out this angle right here to the dash, and I welded up this bracket and mounted it. So I just wanted to show everybody that. And yeah, it's not super high dollar Tach, but you know what? For my purposes, it works perfectly fine. The shift light is right on the money. It works good. And I'm gonna try to show you how I've wired it up, and we'll kind of take it from there. I have approximately 5,000 miles on this Tach in driving. That's about 4 or 5 years worth, as I don't drive this car that much, but it has not failed me and works perfectly fine. So I'm happy with it. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but it was not that much. And so if you want to purchase one like this, I'm going to suggest that you do. Don't be afraid of it. You don't need a $300 Tach. At least I don't, anyway. Here is my old column that I pulled out. Like I said, it's set up for manual steering. But again, it's really not that bad. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I might sell it. We'll see. As you can see, it has the shifting indicator up there on top, and I didn't really care for that, knowing that I have a floor shift. I never could get it to work. I am going to keep the steering wheel, as I like this steering wheel. Simple, and it works, you know, it's perfectly fine. It's in really good shape, no cracks. I might use this can again. I'm just not sure. It's in really good shape. When I pull it off, I'll check to see, because I have another one right here that I'll use, maybe. So we'll see which is the better of the two, and I'll just kind of take it from there. Here's my instructions for this Tach, and I wanted to show you how I'm going to wire it in per the instructions. You can see the black wire here on it goes to ground, which is easy enough to do. And then the red wire, I'm going to be installing that, or wiring that into my accessory tab on the car. And then the white wire is to the light. And I know where I'm going to put that already, so I'll show you a little later. This is the one that actually goes and operates the Tach itself, the green wire. That wire right there, the green wire, I will be plugging into my MSD 6A box, which I'll show you how I have that installed. So here is where my installation is fairly controversial. I have my 6A MSD box mounted underneath the dash just above the glove box. Now, MSD instructions say it needs to be well ventilated, and I'll be honest with you, I've had this installed now for a very long time, and I haven't had any problems at all. And this box is quite old. It's at least 15 years old. A friend of mine actually gave it to me, and so I have no idea where he got it, but it works fine. And you can see right there at the end of the MSD box is a small tab where the Tach signal will come through, and my Tach has no problem receiving this signal, and that's where the green wire is installed. For my lights, I have installed the white wire in this orange conductor here. Seems like on these Mopars, at least this vintage, orange is seems to operate the dash lights, as well as a black connector too. The black ones have a ground associated with it. This one here is just the positive for the lights, and it works well on the dimmer. So no problem. That's how I've wired this one in. And then the black wire here simply goes to ground. And that's lots of places for ground on that. But I'm going to install the red wire for power right here. See if I can get that. Oh, sorry about that. Sort of a hard to. Where's my finger? The accessory tab is right there on my fuse box. So that's where I'll be picking up power for the Tach. And like I said, I've already had this installed many years ago. I just had to, when I replaced this column, I did some other cleanup of the wiring here, and so I took the Tach out, and now I'm reinstalling it. Normally I would solder these, but I don't like to solder inside the car if I can help it. So I'm going to crimp these small aluminum wires. They're not very strong, but strong enough. But I need 3 hands. But if you get it on here and crimp it pretty hard, again, it will hold just fine. So I'm almost there. Let's give it a go. And you just put a lot of oomph into it. And it didn't hold, so I got to redo it. There we go. That's holding really well right there. These little cutters here have a little crimping thing on it, and seems to work pretty good. Again, typically I would solder this, however, and they do make these kind where they heat up and solder. I don't have any of those, but I think that this is going to be perfectly fine for this. Yep, nice and strong. So I have to extend my power lead to get over to the accessory. I didn't want to do that, but I have to. So I'm going to try to use one of these here self-soldering deals. So you put that in there, I guess, and then my wire I put in there together like so, and looks like it's overlapped, I think. And then my experience has told me I need to kind of tighten that up a little bit to hold it. And now I'll try to add some heat. So pardon the sound, it's kind of loud. Let's see how this goes. It's gonna be loud, sorry. Trying to get that solder to melt in there. And it looks like it has. Let's turn this down now. Nah, it didn't hold. Okay, so after several attempts, I've decided to do this the old-fashioned way, and we'll see how it goes as well. Put a little bit of flux on here, and let's see if I can get this to work. Here we go, flowing nicely. Good, good, good. And then I always like to take a wet rag and clean that off, because it's hard on it. And now I will go ahead and now I'll use my heat gun for that. So it'll be loud again. Okay, that's a good connection right there, and so let's keep going. Okay. Wow, making progress. I think I'll install the seat and then install my crush can and steering wheel. Be a whole lot easier to put that seat in here now than once the steering wheel is installed. A little easier without the steering wheel, that's for sure. All right. Ooh. Okay, I'll just line everything up now and see what I can do. This is how I pull these cans off these columns. I have a nice little puller here, and there's 2 screws down in, or 2 pilot holes where you can put these bolts into, and you get it in there. You have to put this in first, and then the bolts. Tighten it down. Like so. Okay, we'll try that. I'm a little hurting for space right here. It should pull right off. Looks like it's going to be a booger. If I can hold that somehow. Oh boy, look at that, I'm getting it. It's not very easy. You can do it. Okay. There it is. You can see how I've got the puller in there. And yeah, let's take a look at this and see if I might use this one because the contact pad is better than the one I have. Okay, let's see what we can do here to get this done. All right, installing this. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a slot in there. I have a little Sharpie on there that needs to align up with this right here. right there. So let's give it a go. So I've tried to mark this with the Sharpie so that I can line it up. You see the slot right there? That has to align in the same position as the crush can has to be. And I think I have it. There we go. You can see it's somewhat lined up. So I'm going to tighten it up and see how it goes. Okay. Takes this compression nut in there. I have the front end of the car up so the wheels will turn easily while I do this. Okay, try to feel it there. I don't know what the torque rating is, but I've got it pretty tight. Seems to turn okay. All right. Steering wheel and horn. Now let's see. That is not going to work. See that? I don't know if you can or not. So I'm going to have to make a change. Darn it. Now the steering wheel lines up with this slot right here with this tab. And so let's see if we can place that on there. First thing, I need to connect my horn, but I need to put black tape around this thing, so I don't want it to give me any problems. I don't typically like to use black tape, but if I have to take this off, then it'll be easier if I ever have to do that. So here we go. I have a good connection on there. Good, that feels good to me. Okay, this to this. And on the studs. Now, here's the interesting thing. See these nuts? They're like a lug bolt on a wheel. Steering wheel, lug bolt, I guess. And they'll fit inside these chamfered here. Now I only have 2 of these, so I'm gonna have to make it work. So we'll put one there, of course. Okay, see that? That's what it looks like. And then the other side, since I don't have one, I'm just going to use a standard nut. However, I did grind this down a little bit and tried to make one of these. I don't think I was that successful at it, but I tried anyway. I believe this is 7/16. Okay. Yeah, right. And look at this one, the one I made. Okay, that feels good. That feels really good. And so does that one. All right. Don't feel too bad. Well, what do we have now to do? Hey, horn works. So I need to go disconnect the battery before I put this on. So this here, just this part right here goes inside this ring. It's just a compression. You just got to force it on there. But in the meantime, I've got to go in the trunk and disconnect the battery because I'll honk the horn all the time. Okay, I am done with this project, replacing this column with a uh, floor shifter style. Doesn't have the automatic transmission arm sticking out, and it does not have the automatic transmission indicator. That was a tough job, I must say. It really was. And at the same time, I fixed up a few wires underneath the dash. That's the other reason why I took the seat out, which, as you saw, was more difficult than it looks. Changing the seat out and the column out and taking all those gauges and cluster out and fixing some wires. The odd thing is I put a voltage gauge right there in that spot, right or wrong. Um, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with my alternator gauge, as I don't use it. But and also I changed the tach. I cleaned it up a little bit, and all the wiring underneath here looks a whole lot better than it did. And I am really happy with all of that. Steering wheel feels good, and everything here. You notice I'm barefoot because when you're working inside a car like this, and you're like a little monkey, and when I wear anything at all, I'm getting all caught up. So it seemed like the best choice was to just go with bare feet, and so I can crawl around in here. Also, another note, you notice my dash pad looks really nice. It's a really nice dash pad. However, it's a blem, and you can see a few smudges there. That's some a little bit of grease I need to wipe off, which I will. But it's a blem, and it was difficult to install. It dimensions were off just a little tiny bit. So if you're contemplating buying a blem, they're they're a third of the cost, if that, even maybe even a quarter of the cost of what they normally are, but you have to work with it. So it doesn't go on as easy as you may think. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll try to make some more videos.